Good morning, students. I hope all are able to hear me. Let me check for my stream and then I will begin with today's class. As you might be aware, I'm actually analyzing today's newspaper in this class. Good morning, students. I think there was a delay in start. I have been trying to start for a while now. Good morning, students. There was a delay in start. Yes. I've been able to hear my voice for at least 2 minutes. I've been saying. So I think there was a delay in the streaming start. Anyway, great to see that finally we are beginning. So on that note, welcome everybody to the class on Unacademy, and we are beginning. We are gonna do the newspaper reading of a couple of days back, right? Of yesterday rather. Today we are gonna have two sessions on YouTube. One is right now at 10:30 a.m. and I'm gonna analyze yesterday's paper, and then again at 2:30 when I'm gonna do today's paper. That will be live. So from today itself, we will go live for every day. So on that note, let us continue with the class. So welcome, as you know, Unacademy is India's largest e-learning platform. We are present across the educational fields, a number of entrance examinations such as uh, management, engineering, medical, UPSC, bank PO, SSC, etc. We are also present in school education for extra tuitions for the students. So we are there all over. And this channel of ours is Let's Crack Management Exams, which will help you crack all the management related examinations, including CAT, which of course is the flagship examination within this broad category. This is a brief about myself. My name is Aritro Dasgupta, and I've been teaching at an academy for more than 4 months now. I'm an MBA in the field of conservation and livelihood from the Indian Institute of Forest Management, which is located in the capital city of Madhya Pradesh, that is Bhopal. Since finishing my MBA, that was in 2010, I've got more than 10 years of work experience in the areas of teaching, training, strategy consulting, executive recruitment, and in content writing. My experience has mostly, of course, been in India, but I've also worked in the Middle East and been published in the US. And last 5.5 years, I have been engaged with the coaching segment. And during this period, I have actually trained several of the rank holders to some of the top examinations, national level exams such as CAT, CLAT, and DUJAT. So all these students have been my students during this period. Let me make it 10 plus because we are entering 11 now. So I think it's better to have 10 plus being mentioned. Right, moving ahead, this is all you will receive as part of the Unacademy platform. Let me show you guys what all you will receive. So first of all, you receive daily live classes. So this is our channel. You can see the name Crack Management Exam. इसको click करेंगे तो आपको n number of sessions मिल जाएंगे. मैं आपको थोड़ा सा दिखा दूंगा इसमें. There are several things that you can go through this. We also have live tests and quizzes. So quizzes can be of number of types. One is on unacademy.com, which is on the spot. You also have curated tests for the students, which mimics the real life format, and उतने ही टाइम का है जितना हमारा ये वाला पेपर है. right? So also on YouTube we have the live chat window. So if you see on the top right side, यहाँ पे आप लोग क्लिक कर सकते हैं और आपको अपने पॉइंट्स आप लिख सकते हैं। कुछ भी अगर आपके सवाल हो, प्लीज फील फ्री टू आस्क हियर ऑन द लाइव चैट विंडो, एंड likewise I will also be asking you guys questions on the spot. I will be testing you guys here. Our course content is very well structured from the head office itself, which is in Bengaluru. And of course, we individual faculty, we can change it a bit, we can tweak it a bit to add further value, but generally the pedagogy is set there. And of course, once you are enrolled with Unacademy, you receive unlimited access to the classes. Once you are enrolled, कोई भी क्लास हो, ऐसा नहीं कि आपने लाइव क्लास मिस कर दिया तो आप आगे नहीं देख सकते। आप इसका रिकॉर्डेड वर्जन हमारे चैनल का, तो वो आप कर सकते हैं। This is a list of some of our top educators. You can see their watch minutes and the followers, as well as their qualifications and experience. You can see it's extremely rich, and that just shows the trainer profile that we have, which is so superior to the rest of the competition. Very few would be having this level. This is a few more trainers, but more importantly, I also wanted to show you how you receive the notifications for the different classes. So whatever classes there are, you will receive notifications in this manner. This is how you receive notifications for the batches. So there are different kinds of batches. One is for a specific subject with one teacher, as you can see at the bottom, with Shuklaji, the verbal classes, or it can be with the entire for the entire course, and that involves n number of trainers, as you can see on top. So either of these options you may go for. We also believe that language should not be a barrier. Instead, language should be a communicator, which is why we are present in 16 different languages. And of course, our schedule is such that even if you miss a class, you all you need is your digital devices, and then you get complete access to the sessions. I told you how you can interact with your educator to get your doubts cleared. Make use of the YouTube live chat window. You may also answer live polls. So live polls are present at all times. ये आप कैसे करेंगे, मैं आपको बताता हूँ। लाइव पोल्स में क्या है कि द होल syllabus could be asked, or it could be specific question. This is something that works very well on unacademy.com. So do attend my classes on unacademy.com. उसमें आपको better पता चलेगा। राइट, आई टोल्ड यू अबाउट लाइव टेस्ट एंड क्विजेस। नाउ जो भी लाइव टेस्ट होगा उसको आपको डिटेल्ड रिपोर्ट एंड एनालिसिस प्राप्त होगा, ताकि आप जान सके कि आपको किस एरिया में ज़्यादा ट्रेनिंग की ज़रूरत है और किस एरिया में यू आर ऑलरेडी good at. If you're already good at something, then you will not require much of hand holding, but you do need to master that, because it's just 25 days remaining. There's no point in doing topics which you are not so good at right now. Go through topics which you're good at so that you can master them, and you really get the maximum marks out of them. And of course, after the classes you receive a detailed PDF and learning material, so that you can sort of take it through. Today, not much of a detailed material to download because it's newspaper session, newspaper PDF in this case. Right, this is the subscription model which is available. Both these sites say the same, it's just that the emphasis is separate. This is my code at the bottom, AD09. So once you use that, you will receive a flat 10% off. राइट, तो इसको एक बार पढ़ लीजिए एक एक लाइन, क्योंकि काफी जरूरी है। Right. I trust you have all gone through these modules. So on that note, I can begin with the session. Right. So this is the newspaper. I have The Hindu, which is always the preferred option for all the entrance examinations. Right. Okay, so starting with it, as you know, right now I'm doing yesterday's paper, and later today I'll be doing today's newspaper. Uh, I did not plan to read out about the US election because obviously it's older news, but nothing is progressing on that. It still remains the same. As yet, the Pennsylvania results are yet to come out. The US does have a very complex election procedure, and I would love to talk to you about that maybe tomorrow. But for now, let's just discuss the present this thing. So Joe Biden is pretty much leading. He has a total of 264 seats. A total of 270 minimum is needed in order to win majority. There are 539 seats overall in the US House of Representatives, which is the lower house, where members are directly elected by the people. The upper house is the Senate, which is similar to our Rajya Sabha or the House of Lords in the UK. Right, so Joe Biden is barely 6 seats away from that. So Pennsylvania, it seems by all accounts, he is leading, and that is why they might just come up. Donald Trump is on 214. He has to basically get a complete sweep of the five remaining states. Alaska, he's likely to win. North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and two more states. Things are pretty much close, and he's not looking that good right now. So his prospects there. So it does seem now a formality. Joe Biden is likely to win. So Joe Biden, yeah. So that's pretty much it. But again, no results. It's a rather slow process, unlike in India. The coronavirus yesterday saw record numbers in New Delhi as well. The numbers have almost touched 7,000. It's 6,842 for the single day. Uh, I had discussed with you earlier about okay, fair enough. This is the Madras High Court has been sent a message by the Supreme Court that it is in public interest to set up courts to try the lawmakers. So, in case any of the lawmakers, legislators, or parliamentarians have been found guilty, they should be tried. If there's any complaint against them, they should be probed. That is the idea of this thing. Mm, there was a terrible go down fire in Ahmedabad which killed 12 laborers. But really importantly, there is something which the Supreme Court has laid down. Supreme Court has come down with the proper guidelines for matrimonial cases. I think you know what is matrimonial marriage. So deserted wives and children who are entitled to alimony, they will receive the alimony fee from the date of application itself. So from the day they have applied, it is from that day itself they are eligible for alimony, deserted wives and children, both of them, both the stakeholders rather. Right, moving further ahead, let's move to some of the internal pages, the local pages. So I've been telling you this thing for a while now. We've discussed on several occasions regarding the biocomposer, which was developed by an institute in Pusa, which is the IARI, Indian Agricultural Research Institute. So this institute's biodecomposer, which actually decomposes the stubble so that it doesn't have to be burned. Instead, it mixes with the soil and decomposes within the soil and actually turns as a manure. This has been a great success as claimed by the Chief Minister of Delhi, Shri Arvind Kejriwal, because this was actually applied in the villages in Delhi as well. Because in Delhi also there are some villages, some rural areas. So this will avoid the stubble burning, which is one of the biggest reasons for pollution over Delhi and other states or other cities in North India. The NGT or the National Green Tribunal, it has been focusing on the pollution cases primarily in Delhi, but now with the new body being formed, and which wants that crackers to be banned even outside the national capital region. So even the areas beyond the NCR will be looked up by the National Green Tribunal, because obviously the pollution, air pollution, is not something which is restricted to Delhi and nearby alone, but also to further off. The central government of India wants to have more people working in Jammu and Kashmir as well as in Ladakh, which are now Union territories, because there is a major shortage of officers there. So the different departments under different ministries have been asked to spare personnel to work in these two union territories. Assam has been having a dispute on the boundary with the state of Mizoram for a while now. That has also led to some violent clashes. Assam has now asked various districts, especially those around the Mizoram district, primarily the Kachar district, Kachar and Lalpur, these two. Kachar is the main district. तो वहाँ के officials को बताया गया है, the people also to keep up the vigil, because vigilance is required anytime there could be repeated attacks again. In fact, one of the a body has been handed over of an Assamese person from the state of Assam who was killed by one of these tribal groups. So a tribal NGO has returned back his body. Jammu and Kashmir, meanwhile, will be having a district council poll from November 28th. You're probably aware that Ladakh recently had its autonomous hill council elections, where out of 30 seats, four of them are nominated. Two of them were won by independent candidates. Nine seats were won by Congress, and 15 wards won by the BJP. Jammu and Kashmir will have a similar district council election on 28th of November. This will be spread across 20 districts within the now Union Territory. And all of this will conclude by December 22nd. It will take time. It will, won't happen on the same day because of several security measures which will have to be taken, and of course the distancing norms right now. There are some vacant seats of Sarpanch and urban local bodies as well. वो भी उसी time हो जाएगा. This has been confirmed by the State Election Commissioner, Shri K. Sharma. Right, delimitation has already been done. I had told you earlier about delimitation for the state assembly, but right now the delimitation will also take place for has also taken place for the 280 district councils. The West Pakistan refugees of the WPRs, they will also be entitled to exercise their votes this time. The state of Punjab is going through a major economic crisis following the protest by the farmers after the farm bills were passed recently in Parliament. So a lot of these farmers in Punjab, they had been sort of protesting and blocking the rail tracks, especially goods trains. So now trains are not moving in Punjab anymore. The central Union Ministry of Railways has cut off the trains, goods trains towards Punjab, and that's why the state is not receiving a lot of the basic essentials. In fact, business and economy are also suffering very badly in the state. Three more Rafale jets have arrived in India. You know, the first five jets arrived in Ambala. Three more have now arrived in Jamnagar in Gujarat, flying in from France. You know, the makers are Dassault. Dassault is a French aviation company, which military aviation rather, which produces these crafts. Of railways has cut off. There is a report from the state of Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh is one of the important labor supplying states of India. In Madhya Pradesh, a report suggests that 56% of the laborers who migrated back during the first few lockdowns, they remain unemployed, which is more than half of them. In fact, the same study also says that 90% did not receive the monetary relief which was promised by the government. Usually, we need to see who has done the research, because if it's a credible body, a ministry body, or a reputed publication, a university, we take it more seriously. This one has been done by a relatively okay, let me just read out the names first. It's known as the Zenith Society for Socio Legal Empowerment, based in Shivpuri. So, which is a pretty well known organization, a local organization. Often, local organizations have better grasp of these things. That is why we are looking into this. Although, of course, it is not as reliable as several of the bigger ones, but then the sample seems to be pretty good. Couple of volunteers and student interns were part of this study as well. Now, moving on to the yeah, moving on to the editorial page, quite a few things here. I think you guys might be aware that Mr. Kamal Nath, the former Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, also a former Union Minister at the center. He was the Minister of Commerce during the UPA governments. Now, Mr. Kamal Nath's star status in the Madhya Pradesh election was stripped off by the Election Commission of India. He has filed a complaint against that. He had prior to the recent by-elections held for this decision to be overturned. So there is this article on how ECI's power should not be unduly bridged. ECI is Election Commission of India. There's another article on the authoritarian turn which the US democracy, the world's oldest democracy, seems to have taken, because Donald Trump seems to be forcing his way through with the Supreme Court, and he's trying to acquire complete power of this current election, by holding power over the. So he's actually challenged the Joe Biden victories in several states, especially in Michigan, but also in Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, New Hampshire, Minnesota, and Virginia. So that is something which, because there is a complaint, so he says that the process has been flawed. That is what Trump says. So this is really worrying for one of the top, one of the oldest, the oldest democracy in the world. Democracy as we know it today, although many other countries did have some form of democracy before that. Right? Okay. Meanwhile, there's another article by Mr. Arun Mehra. He is the author of a book called The Learning Factory: How the Leaders of Tata Became Nation Leaders. So he's actually drawn from his vast experience at Tata to write down about the company's business policies and how that has now become a prototype for the entire country, for all the corporates to follow. So the article is Fixing the Rules of the Economy, where, and I'll read out to you the sub headline as well. He says the fundamentals of the game have to change as they currently favor wealthy investors and not workers and tiny enterprises. The entire rule is towards, now, if you see the last couple of months during the pandemic, what has happened is the richest people in the country, the top 0.1%, have grown even richer. They've managed to increase their assets even further, or whereas the money owned by the top 1% is actually more than probably 90-95% of the country. So that is where I don't have exact figures, but it comes down to something like that. So it is a massive amount of inequality, and right? So this also, in fact, if the economy goes bad, the government functioning also suffers, he says, Mr. Myra, because he clearly mentions that in a country where the economy is not prospering and where there isn't enough employment, so then even the government enterprises get compromised, because the government enterprises cannot include uh, the government enterprises cannot include these people, right? The enterprises cannot fire people. They cannot work with competitiveness, and that is a major flaw in this particular system. He's also listed some points of Mr. E.F. Schumacher, who was one of the top industrial um, analysts, and a lot of his ideas, his strategies helped make Japan the industrial powerhouse that it became. So, a couple of seminal works he has mentioned, which are of great importance. Meanwhile, there's another article by Mr. Krishna Bairi Gowda, who's a former agriculture, rural development, and Panchayat Raj minister as part of the government of Karnataka. He was the Karnataka representative in the GST Council. So he says that the financial capacity of states is being weakened thanks to the delayed payments of their GST inputs. There's another article by Mr. Amir Ali, who teaches at the Center for Political Studies at the JNU, or the Jawaharlal Nehru University, a leading university in New Delhi. So the article talks of Labour's anti-Semitism woes, and how the Labour Party has had a historical stance which goes against the, shall we say, Jewish and a lot of Middle Eastern people, right? There's an interesting article by Miss Janaki Nair, who is a retired professor at the Center of the Historical Studies at the JNU. She speaks about how linguistic nationalism is on the wane, and she's speaking specifically about one state, which is Karnataka. So in Karnataka, a particular day is very widely celebrated, which is the Rajyotsav Day, which commemorates the fact that Karnataka separated from the erstwhile Madras province in 1956 on linguistic Kannada speaking lines. Till 1973, it continued to be known as the Mysore state, but nonetheless, it was still a Kannada speaking state. The term Karnataka only came up in 1973. So this was a massive celebration of Kannada sub-nationalism, linguistic nationalism. A couple of pictures have been shown this year. However, the celebrations were muted. One, of course, reason is the coronavirus pandemic. But besides that, there seems to nationalism or linguistic nationalism seems to have come to its run its course in the state of Karnataka. Instead, religious nationalism is where Karnataka is getting drawn towards. It's the only state in South India with such a religion-based nationalism which is emerging, which is not present as of now in the other four southern states of Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. Right, and he also says that similar patterns are also experienced in terms of the popular motifs from Karnataka. One of them is about cinema. For example, Kannada cinema now receives far less funding than it used to. It is also at least proportionate funding. The absolute numbers may have increased, but it has probably increased much more in the other languages and other mediums. So she compares it with Tamil cinema or Malayalam or Telugu. Tamil and Telugu known for their massive budgets. Malayalam cinema known for its path-breaking innovations. Kannada cinema does not seem to have a particular identity as of now. The Kannada cinema industry is also struggling to cope with the onset of the OTT platforms, which are really dominating and taking away huge part of the business. She then goes on to speak about the city of Bengaluru, which has always prided itself on its cosmopolitan culture, which is why it is probably the only big city in India where it is okay not to know the state language. A lot of people grow up in schools, according to her, where Kannada is not one of the official where Kannada is not taught, and many people proudly say that they do not even know the language. So this is something which she is lamenting the fact, and there are many people who, in spite of knowing the language, may not speak it. This is basically her lament here. So that is something which needs to be looked into. Right. Meanwhile, there's also an article by Mr. Atul K. Thakur, who's a policy professional and columnist, and he speaks about the shifting gears in Bihar and how the young, especially how Nitish Kumar is facing a lot of anti-incumbency. The young seem to have really taken up a crusade against him, according to him. These two young leaders, Mr. Chirag Paswan and Mr. Tejasvi Yadav, they are the ones who are leading this sort of an anti-incumbency crusade, and this is something which is not going well for Nitish right now. That's what he says. And he also speaks about how the opposition or the Mahagathbandhan is extremely united in its policies and how they are working door to door for each other. The RJD, the Congress, and the three left parties, the CPI, the CPIM, and the biggest of them, the CPIML, these five together are working in tandem. The cadre is pretty much united, and the fact that this time the RJD has come out of its historical caste or religious angle. That's what he says. And instead of social justice, which was the norm of Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav, his son Tejasvi has now taken on economic justice as the unifying pattern here. Right? Unemployment seems to be a high on the cards, especially of the young people. There is a new policy in the state of Telangana in order to decongest Hyderabad, which, of course, being one of India's biggest cities, does suffer from a lot of traffic related issues. So, the Telangana Industries Minister, Shri K.T. Ramarao, who's also the son of the present Chief Minister, Mr. K. Chandrasekhar Rao, he has confirmed of this new policy, which is the ORR or Outer Ring Road. So, beyond that, real estate is to be developed. The idea is to spread out the development of real estate so that the entire congestion does not take place in the heart of the city, which is the main area, of course. The idea is to distribute the population all over the all over the city. There's a latest Zero survey which was conducted in Karnataka, and 12.7% have been found to have active infection, while 16.4% have developed antibodies against the COVID 19. A lot of the sugarcane farmers will receive relief in Telangana because of several property issues this year. There's a new property development by Trident, and that was aiming to acquire a lot of sugarcane producing territory. So for that, there will be adequate relief that will be provided. That has been confirmed. Uh, the state of Andhra Pradesh, its Chief Minister Sri Jagan Mohan Reddy, he has laid the stone for new projects costing more than 380 crore rupees in the West Godavari district. Several states in India, Rajasthan, Odisha, West Bengal, and Haryana, have banned the sale of crackers during Deepavali. Karnataka is also set to discuss a similar policy and probably execute the same on a cracker ban in order to reduce the air pollution levels. Because this year, especially, air pollution can be fatal due to the ongoing COVID 19 pandemic. Now, there's very important news from Kerala. The state government of Kerala has withdrawn its general consent to the CBI. The DSPE Act's provisions have been put in. So, this becomes the fifth state after West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Maharashtra to do so. Now, this is rather interesting because some people might wonder how is this possible, because CBI is a central agency. How can a central agency be denied by a state government? So, just to give you a bit of history on this, the CBI, or the Central Board of Investigation, was actually set up as an extension, as a specific investigation body within the Delhi police. And there are certain provisions in the constitution which allows any state government to ban the activities of the CBI. So the CBI, like several other national agencies, While obviously it has a lot of power, a lot of jurisdictional power, it often lacks in terms of manpower and workforce. So whenever it needs to operate in a particular state, it needs the local police to cooperate with it, because obviously they cannot have so much personnel in every state of the country. Any investigation requires a lot of legwork, which obviously the police has, because police has, obviously every state police would be having that. The CBI does not have that sort of a workforce. So whenever it works in a state, it needs the local authorities to cooperate. So the moment this consent is removed, the local police will stop doing that, and thus this will not work. So West Bengal, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, and of course Kerala, all of them non-BJP ruled states which have removed the consent. So, this is something I've been telling you guys for a while now. Pakistan has decided to bring statehood status to Gilgit-Baltistan, which, right? So, Pakistan wants to provide statehood to the disputed territory of Gilgit-Baltistan, which is, of course, they are mired in a dispute with India. So India, of course, obviously not happy with this. China remains non-committal, that they do not have any opinion to do on this particular incident. This has been confirmed by the spokesperson, Mr. Wang Wenbin. He says that it's an issue left over from the history between India and Pakistan. I'm quoting from his comments. It should be resolved peacefully and properly according to the charter, relevant UN Security Council resolutions, and bilateral agreements. So they refuse to comment per se on this thing. I've also been telling you about the TRP case, where the television rating points. There was this case regarding couple of news channels. Uh, so a new body has been formed. By the Information and Broadcasting Ministry, a four-member committee to review the guidelines. It will be headed by Sri Shashi Shekhar Vempati. Sri Shashi Shekhar Vempati, who is the CEO of Prasar Bharati. Prasar Bharati is obviously the government body under which you have both the Doordarshan and the All India Radio. So there are TRAI recommendations, which is the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, which the TRAI regulations will also be part of this thing. Right. So the other members in this group are Dr. Shalab, who's a professor of statistics from the IIT Kanpur. There's also Mr. Rajkumar Upadhyay, who's the executive director of CDOT, and there's Professor Pulak Ghosh, who's from the Decision Sciences Center for Public Policy. These are the other three members of this council. This is said to be a new hydropower project in Himachal Pradesh. Hydropower, of course, is water-based electricity. This has been confirmed by the CCEA, which is the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. This will be a project worth 1,810.56 crores near the Luhri power project. It will generate 210 megawatts of electricity. So this is located between the Shimla and Kullu districts. This committee was in fact headed by the Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi. Right. Moving further on, there's a full-scale analysis of the US elections. I will explain to you the exact pattern maybe tomorrow. But right now, this is how things are. Meanwhile, the Senate, which is the upper house, is also going through a simultaneous elections. Usme, however, the Republicans, which is Donald Trump's party, they have a slender lead. Last I saw, they were leading 48 to 48 to 45 uh, in a 93 member house. There's also an interesting article on a new book which is being released by a noted writer, Miss Rachna Bisht Rawat. She has been the wife of a serving military officer, so a lot of her stories have been about the army and the army personnel. And this latest book of hers is Insomnia or Army Stories. It has a list of 17 short stories published by Penguin, which of course you know is one of the leading um, leading publishing houses in the world. And in fact, the former Chief of General Staff, Mr. VP Malik, he's a former Chief of Staff of the Army. He says that about her, these stories are stories which only could be written by somebody closely related to the Army. Right, so rather it should be interesting for one to read. There's also an article called The Great Gazebo, which is about restaurants which have opened up after the lockdowns and the steps they are taking in order to attract customers while yet maintaining the distancing norms. What all are these steps that they are taking? उस पे लिखा है. Every Thursday, there is this article regarding some um, animal or bird. So this week, similarly, and I think it's timely because we are right now at the peak of the butterfly season, the end of the monsoons, the end of the retreating monsoon, and the start of the winters is actually very good period to spot butterflies. So a lot of rare visitors have fluttered by, it seems. There's a lot of excitement among naturalists. So there's a particular butterfly called the okay, I'll take out the names. One is the painted Jezebel. There's also the spotted pierrot, and there is also the branded royal. A lot of these butterflies have gained particular traction. The first two, their pictures have been mentioned. In fact, after 130 years, the branded royal was spotted in the Nilgiri Mountains. This was something phenomenal. Last recorded in 1888 by a British entomologist, Dr. G.F. Hampson, who's it's actually mentioned by a trustee of the WBA or Winter Blith Association. Um, they do these butterfly walks across the Nilgiris. There's also a marbled map butterfly, which was recorded for the first time in Vishakhapatnam, although it was historically confined much further north in areas such as Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Jharkhand, Bhutan, and Myanmar, but now found in Andhra Pradesh. So that is quite significant. There's also the Malabar banded peacock, which is endemic to the South India. Also the tree nymph, and these have been found white butterfly with black spots being founded wafting through the air. So this article written by Mr. K. Jeshi with input from Nivedita Ganguly. There's another article on food which is on lentils and spice and everything nice, which is about different food items, and this one talks about a particular kind of South Indian item known as podi, which bursts with all kinds of flavor. How curry leaves and moringa leaves, tea masala, all of this is mixed together. This tight punch of masalas, it adds to the particular taste. Continuing with the international pages, a lot of Indian Americans have won their elections, mostly from the Democrat Party. Mr. Ami Bera, Pramila Jayapal, who's of course very well. There's also Raja Krishnamurthy won. Though surprisingly, Rick Mehta, who's a Republican, lost in New Jersey. Mr. Shringla, Harshvardhan Shringla, who's the foreign secretary, he says that India enjoys bipartisan support. So it won't matter whether Trump wins or Biden wins. Either way, US India relations are and will remain extremely strong. The foreign secretary, who's the highest bureaucrat within the foreign ministry, reports straight to the external affairs minister. He has confirmed the same. The Congress, which is the US Parliament, is known as Congress. It has actually got its first openly gay black member. His name is Mr. Richie Torres, the first openly gay black member. While the US has formally exited the Paris Agreement for curbing climate change, Joe Biden has reaffirmed his view that US would be open to rejoining it once he gets back to power. There is some separatist movement in a part of Ethiopia, the northeastern African country, in the Tigray region. The Prime Minister, Mr. Abiy Ahmed, he has sent the army into this troubled area. Donald Trump has been complaining for a while regarding the um, electoral process. A lot of the pundits worldwide have criticized his outspoken views against the system, against the local system. A lot of TV anchors and pundits, for example. The United Kingdom, meanwhile, has confirmed that its relations with the US too is on extremely strong. And it's on a strong foot. Now, moving on to your favorite page, which is the business page. Now, there's this company called Sundaram Fasteners, which is led by Miss Arati Krishna. They have confirmed entry. It's a Chennai-based company which has confirmed entry into a new this thing. It is to um into aerospace and defense. Right now, the company produces parts, spare parts, and other components of the automobile industry. However, the auto industry, the company believes, runs cyclically. So, that is something which is not good for long term business because periodically there are these highs and lows within the business. So, that's why they feel that aerospace and defense are two of the upcoming areas where there is a lot of scope. Defense, of course, has now been denotified from government monopoly, so private companies are into its production. Aerospace, meanwhile, obviously is one of the upcoming areas. A lot of space exploration is planned over the next couple of years, which obviously means, in fact, a lot of projects are to be launched by India, such as the project Gaganyaan. We also already had some the Chandrayaan. There's also Samudrayaan, which is not space, but again will require a lot of component. There's also Shukrayaan, which is um, for the Venus, right? So a lot of plans are afoot, so that's why they are entering into this. A total 100 crore rupee budget has been earmarked for this project. Another wholly owned subsidiary, TVS Upasana, has also confirmed entry into this field. Coal India Limited, which recently did an e-auction, has confirmed that the sales have almost tripled during this period. The finance ministry has confirmed that the GDP will be higher than projected, while differential licensing is going to hurt telecom companies. This is in view of the 5G auctions, which should be held sometime in 2021. You are aware right now we mainly use the 4G or 3G networks. We are looking to move into 5G sometime next year. Not just India, but several countries in the world will be considering something like this. China was obviously one of the first countries to launch a thing. Bangladesh, by the way, already has something in 5G, but India most likely next year. There is another pharmacy company called Gland, which is worth a 6,500 crore IPO, which is set to open on 9th of November. So people can start booking. The price per share band has been put between 1490 to 1500. Fundraising via markets fell by a whopping 31% in September, uh, as per the data by SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India, the stock market regulator. SBI, the State Bank of India, meanwhile, has had an excellent second quarter of this year. Banking sector not doing that badly. So the second quarter profits have surged by 52% to a staggering 4,574 crores. There has one among the reasons cited for its this rise has been a decline in the bad loans and also increase in net interest income. Uh, right. Some of the tidbits from the business world: TVS Motors, again based in South India and Chennai, they have introduced a new bike which is the Apache at 1.31 lakh rupees. Apache was already a brand, but now it's the Apache RTR 204V, a new model priced at 1.31 lakh rupees, the ex showroom Delhi prices. While the JLR, which is the Jaguar Land Rover brand within the Tata Motors, they have started booking for the new EV Jaguar I-Pace. It's a luxury car, so they need pre-book production or something of a mass production begins. I spoke to you about SBI's second quarter. Apollo's second quarter profit has also doubled. Apollo Tires, I'm talking about, has risen to 216 crores. It actually rose by 117%, so more than doubled. Right, I'm done with the business page. Now moving on to the sports pages. You know, the first round of the IPL is over. So now with the semi-finals due, most of the pundits are giving the Mumbai Indians an edge thanks to its all-round strength and its playoff pedigree. The fact that they've been there, done it for several years, so that gives them a major advantage over the others. Uh, There's also a women's tournament taking place right now in Sharjah. You might be aware. So the Velocity has defeated the Supernovas in the first game. One of the which Miss Sun Loose from South Africa. She was a star in the first game. An English fast bowler, Mark Wood, has played only 16 test matches in the last 5 years, but he believes that he is still due more matches. He suffered a lot of injury problems, but he now believes that he's fit again. He's now 30 years old, so he's at the peak of his career and he feels that he's more well rounded. So, next couple of years, he should do extremely well. Uh, West Indies batsman Marlon Samuels, who's now 39 years old, has played 71 test matches. He has announced his retirement from all forms of the game. He played, as I said, 71 test matches, 207 one day internationals, and 67 T20 internationals for the West Indies, scoring more than 11,000 international runs, all three versions combined, and picking up more than 150 wickets. He was always a man for the big occasions. Did play in the IPL, had stints with uh, represented the Delhi Daredevils, which was the former name, and also the Pune Warriors, which was a team for a couple of years. Also played for the Peshawar Zeni in the Pakistan Super League, and also the Melbourne Renegades in the Big Bash League in Australia. In fact, he's the only batsman to have only player to have been player of the match in two ICC tournament finals. That's a record that he enjoys. Famous Australian coach, Mr. Don Talbot, a swimming coach, he has passed away. He was known to have produced several of the swimming champs, such as Ian Thorpe, was known as Torpedo. Eindhoven, there will be no delays for that particular match. That more matches are, of course, to be held. Diego Maradona, football legend, he has had a successful brain surgery, as per his doctor, who's Dr. Leopoldo Luque, who conducted his operation in the capital of Argentina, Buenos Aires. Manchester City Football Club sees the return of Brazilian striker Gabriel Jesus. He's missed a couple of matches, couple of weeks due to injuries, but the Spanish manager of Man City, Pep Guardiola, has welcomed Jesus's return. Sticking to football, Ryan Sessegnon, the English left-footed wing-back, who's right now on loan from Tottenham Hotspurs to a German club, TSG Hoffenheim, has been abused online, racially abused, and this is something the German and British football authorities have come down hard against, because obviously there is no tolerance to racism anymore in sports, and definitely not in football. Ian Botham, who's actually one of the legendary all-rounders in the game of cricket, he has mentioned how the lockdowns have actually affected the pandemics has affected sport charities. Ian Botham is now part of the House of Lords, and he's also a lot of charities, and he laments this fact that due to the pandemic, the overall collections have dwindled when it comes to charity occasions. And finally, a run up with all the UEFA Champions League matches. Let me give you a full report of the first day's matches, which is on Tuesday. Russia in Group A, Russian club Lokomotiv Moscow could only draw with Atletico Madrid. I think that's a massive achievement for Moscow, considering Atletico are one of the giants. Although it must be said that a lot of teams struggle in Russia this part of the year because it's very cold, and that too for Spain. I can understand the glorious sunshine in Spain. Uske baad the frigid Russian nights. Champions League games are held pretty late, so it'll be tough, no doubt. So Lokomotiv Moscow got a penalty converted by Russian international Anton Miranchuk, while Jose Jimenez, the Uruguayan towering centre back, scored for Atletico. I'm assuming it would be a header. That's how he scores a lot of his goals. Red Bull Salzburg, however, got thrashed the Austrian champions funded by the Red Bull company. They lost 2-6 at home to the European champions, Bayern, European and German champions. Sort of a German speaking derby, the best team of Austria, the best team of Germany, but huge gap. Robert Lewandowski, no doubt, scored two of the goals, one of them being a penalty. There was also an own goal. Jerome Boateng scored one of the goals, as did Leroy Sané. Leroy Sané, who's a new signing, the German winger, was earlier with Bayern Munich, with Man City, was signed last summer itself. Uh, there's also one goal from the French defender Lucas Hernandez, who was signed from Atletico Madrid last summer, 2019. Moving on to Group B, Shakhtar Donetsk shocked Real Madrid some time back, but they lost very badly at home to Borussia Mönchengladbach, the German club. So rather, uneven, their performances have been. The French striker Alassane Playas getting a hat trick, goals in the 8th, 26th, and 78th minutes. There was one own goal, also a goal by Lars Stindl, another German forward, while the Algerian left back Ben Sebani scored one goal as well. Real Madrid finally got a Champions League victory in the third match of the season, winning against Italian giants Inter Milan 3-2. Karim Benzema, Sergio Ramos, and the Brazilian youngster Rodrigo scoring the three goals for Real Madrid, while the Croatian winger Ivan Perisic and the Argentinian striker Lautaro Martinez scored for Inter Milan. Moving on to Group C, Man City, I told you Gabriel Jesus back for the big game, and in fact, he scored on his return, as did the Spanish winger Ferran Torres, signed last summer itself from Valencia, and Joao Cancelo, who was signed in 2019 from Juventus, the Portuguese fullback. Even he scored a goal, defeating Olympiacos 3-0. FC Porto, meanwhile, the Portuguese champions condemned Olympique Marseille, the French club, to its third consecutive defeat. Uh, Musa Marega scoring one of the goals in during that 3-0 victory. In Group D, Danish champions Midtjylland lost to 1-2 at home to Ajax, the Dutch champions, for whom the Dutch did not have an official champion, but then they were leading the table when the pandemic. Dusan Tadic scoring one of the goals for Ajax. Tadic, the Serbian forward, scored a lot of goals. Some of you might remember during Ajax's phenomenal semi-final run in 2019. Italian club Atalanta, though, got shocked, losing 5-0 at home. Liverpool missing a lot of defenders, but who cares when you can score five goals Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane, the Egyptian Senegalese duo, no doubt scored a goal each. Who would go against it if you're scoring five? Obviously, these two guys will score. But the other three goals were actually scored by one man, and he's a new signing. He signed up this summer itself. He's the Portuguese playmaker Diogo Jota, who had a couple of years with the Wolverhampton Wanderers, signed up for about 40 million pounds. And the interesting thing is, Liverpool had a really solid front three. The third member being, besides Salah and Mane, it was Roberto Firmino, the Brazilian who was used to work so hard, work his socks off, win the ball. He was the main supply chain for these two. He's not scored much this season, and Diego, whenever he's coming off the bench, so there was this thing that let us give him a chance. Let's see how well he performs. And he did get a start finally. And I think he has done due justice to the faith reposed in him by his manager, Mr. Jurgen Klopp. No doubt. A left footed wing back who's right now on loan. Right. So that is pretty much it. Great success by Diogo Jota in this particular case. Right, so that is it pretty much from my side on the newspaper for yesterday. I'm going to join you guys in just another couple of hours, I guess. Yeah, in just a little less than 3 hours for another class, which is on today's newspaper. So just be around till then. I'm going to keep the session open for a couple of minutes. In case any of you has any doubts, please feel free to ask me. I shall be happy to answer all your queries